Hello and welcome. It is 3:10 to left, and we have gone completely off the rails this week. I'm Tom Karen of Nesson. Alex Spear of the Boston Globe is joining us. Alex, how are you?
I guess concerned. The dangers of what happens when a train derails are considerable.
Yeah, that's a good point by you. No, it's a special edition of 3:10 to left, if you will. And we're going to talk a little bit today about ceremonial first pitches and first pitches in baseball. I am intrigued by them. I watch them most every night. We sort of have a rule on the show when we have celebrities come on, and quite often a celebrity will come in to throw the first pitch, and we will have them on the pregame show or do an interview with them. And I will often say, rarely do we show the first pitch unless it goes horribly wrong. And so I wish you, nothing but success, and I hope we never show your first pitch. And sometimes they go horribly wrong. We're going to be joined by a legendary, actor, but he's a Renaissance man, and he's a Mainer, more importantly. Patrick Dempsey.
Well, all Mainers are Renaissance men or women.
I'd like to think so, yes.
Yeah.
But he really is. We'll get into that a little bit. But he is the guest this week. Patrick Dempsey is he and I sat down to talk about a number of things. And then shortly after that, he bounced his first pitch. And then I think it was a day later, Noah Kahan, the Vermont musician who has just swept the world with his talent, came in and also spiked his first pitch. So we had two bounces back-to-back nights. Not 50 Cent level bad, but the goal is to make it to the catcher, right? That is what you're looking to do.
Yeah, particularly both of them went with the glove. They went out to the mound with the glove, and that's always like, you're holding yourself up to a higher degree of scrutiny if you're going that route. So, these things did go horribly awry, but it's reassuring to know that moment, these people who are associated, who are accustomed to great visibility and to performing in front of, it's certainly in the case of Noah Kahan, like tens of thousands of people. They mess up under that withering spotlight.
Well, I mean, Patrick Dempsey is literally a race car driver. And he went from Fenway to Spain to drive a race car on a test track. And he is co-owner of Dempsey Racing. And he races in like the 24-hour of Le Mans, which I never say right. But he did. But anyway, I digress. You have thrown out the first pitch of a game twice, I believe, correct?
Yes. In fact, one of my
was historic.
It was, and unexpectedly so. This is from when I threw out the last ceremonial first pitch at McCoy Stadium. No one knew that it was going to be that at the time, but I was invited in when I was promoting my book to throw out the first pitch before a Paw Sox game on the final day of the 2019 season. And so that day, throw out the first pitch. It was completely unimpressive, but reached Daniel McGrath on the fly. So no complaints, right? It was caught by a baseball player. I didn't blow it. There was no moment of infamy such as the ones you're referring to. And then the 2020 season was going to have an incredible list of Paw Sox alums and dignitaries who were visiting before games. They had done an unbelievable job of preparing for that final season in Pawtucket, and then no minor league season because of COVID. So instead, I am left with the title of last ceremonial first pitch thrower at McCoy Stadium. You?
And did you also throw one in Portland? Is that where the other one was?
I did, yeah. It was very generous of the Red Sox minor league affiliates. Insofar as I was promoting a book that was about the long journey that goes into building a homegrown team, coming up through with players who are coming up through the minors. They were kind enough to let me promote it in a couple of places, and yes, Portland was my first one. And quite frankly, Tom, I was terrified going into that one because not only had I never thrown a pitch before that, but my sons neither of my sons at that time were playing baseball. It had probably been years since I had thrown a baseball with any kind of intent. Just no rec leagues, nothing. So like for the couple of weeks beforehand, I would have to get together with my brother-in-law, and like I was like long tossing out to 120 feet and like just trying to get my arm to like have some kind of accuracy, and then got to Portland and like did not stand on the mound, stood on the grass just in front of the mound, like taking no chances, because I didn't want to humiliate my family when they were there, and like lobbing it in again successfully. It got where it was supposed to go, but it was not a moment of great distinction. How'd yours go?
Yeah, I've thrown two as well. I threw one at Polar Park a couple of years ago, their first year there. But that was sort of, not to downplay, it's wonderful to throw first pitch, but Lou Merlone threw out the first pitch of the game that night. It was Framingham night, and I was there with the Metro West YMCA that I'm on the board of directors and I do some work with. So I was one of three Metro West Y board members who threw out the kind of pre-ceremonial first pitch before Lou Merlone threw the ceremonial first pitch. But before that, I got to throw one on my bobblehead night at Hadlock Field. The Sea Dogs, they had a bobblehead night for me. And I got to throw out the first pitch. And I was, now the thing I wasn't ready for, that was my first as well. The thing I wasn't ready for in the minor leagues, when you throw out the first pitch, the pitcher's already on the mound. Like the players are on the field, they're waiting, let's go, and Mike Schwarren, remember him? He was on the mound behind me, right? He made his major league debut like a week later. I like to think he saw something in what I did that really put him over the top. So I went out.
Or maybe you just instilled a ton of confidence in him. Yeah.
Could have been that. Like, I can't be that bad. I went out and did the full, Craig Kimbrell was on the Red Sox at the time. So I did the full, chicken wing thing and did the lean over. And I swear to God, I heard him sigh behind me. Like, can we just throw the damn pitch and let us get on with our, and I'm milking it for everything I got. And I did, I threw it too high. It did, it got not too high, but it lobbed. And Rich Gedman caught it. And he came out and said, everybody's got a cutter. And I thought that was a pretty good line. So that was, I'll tell you, I will tell you my favorite first ceremonial first pitch story years and years ago, 2004, I believe. Giselle Bundchen threw out the first pitch at Fenway. And this is pre-Tom Brady, obviously pre-Tom Brady's roast, but pre all of that. And she was a supermodel at the time, and I guess still is. But she came up when the old studio at Fenway Park. She came up and sat down with Dennis Eckersley and me on the pregame show live. First of all, we've never had so many people in the studio. The two biggest crowds to ever come to the studio were Giselle Bundchen and this Patrick Dempsey interview. Everyone seemed to suddenly want to come by during the interview. I don't know why. But Eckersley told Bundchen, you're going to be stepping off the mound, throw it high. And I don't know if you remember the throw, because it was like it got what, this is really it's pre-social media. It's not pre-internet, right? 04. But the video of that thing was everywhere because she just launched it 30 feet high up into the screen. And the greatest end to the story is that the next day she was on the Today Show, and they of course showed it and were roasting her. And she said, I don't know, this old guy told me to throw it up high, which was Dennis Eckersley. And we just had endless fun with that line.
We now know why Eck was never a pitching coach. This was, he was great analysts,
right.
The coaching didn't necessarily translate. I think also in the 2004 season, I want to say that on the day that the Veritek A-Rod fight happened, Spike Lee threw out the first pitch. And the joy of that,
right.
First of all, Spike Lee throwing out the first pitch at Fenway is kind of
right.
Sure, right? But they had somehow forgotten to turn off the radar gun. So you got to see Spike Lee just chucked it in at 52 miles an hour.
I'm glad that was never the case with us. Yeah.
We need a little bit more baseball stunt going on ceremonial first pitches.
You remember Papelbon in the 21 playoffs? He was with us on the show. He bet Jim Rice. Well, we shouldn't talk about betting, but whatever. They made a bet that he could hit 90 miles an hour on the gun. Now, I am convinced it was juiced, but it showed 91 or 92 or whatever it was. Pap also said he had a hard time lifting his arm for the next few days because he did absolutely air it out. And then remember another one of my favorite, and around 04, 05, 06, Will Ferrell threw out the first pitch, and he did the full Louis Tion in person, did the full wind up hitch, so wearing
passion,
like an old school Red Sox uniform.
Yeah, I feel like Will Ferrell, secretly is extremely jealous of batting stance guy. Like he just wants to inhabit that. Like he wants to inhabit someone who spends his life imitating former baseball players.
Yes, that's so perfectly put. All right,
actually, I think he probably feels okay. He probably, I will say, Will Ferrell probably feels okay about what he's doing.
I think it worked out okay. Yeah. Well, although I could actually, when you said that, I could actually see him creating a movie based on batting stance guy. Like, there's got to be a comedy there, right? Like, an actual major leaguer sues batting stance guy for perfecting the stance he never got around to. Batting stance guy actually got it better than the original major leaguer, and hilarity ensues. I mean, can't you see that?
I can see it, especially, now that we have the fall guy. I feel like there's a whole meta thing that could be happening within there. So by all means, get Ryan Gosling in it.
Yes, Ryan
and then
Gosling,
have him on for a ceremonial first pitch. Yeah.
And then we'll have him on a special edition of 310 to Left. But this week, it is Patrick Dempsey, who, by the way, humble brag, maybe not so humble, like myself, is a Maine Sports Hall of Famer. But he is actually in the Maine Sports Hall of Fame because he's a race car driver and can actually, competes at something as opposed to me who just talks about sports. And he's really, we talk about Renaissance guy. He really is. You all know him as McDreamy. And the actor of a lot of films, but he is much more than that. He is the co-owner of Dempsey Racing. He actually races in the cars. He created the Dempsey Center up in Maine, which has now helped cancer patients in 32 different states and has physical locations in Lewiston, Maine, as well as South Portland, Maine, and now they're building a new facility. And last year after the tragic shooting in Lewiston, he appeared in a softball game a week later, the Lewiston Strong softball game. He came in from Hollywood, and he and Bill Lee both played in the game to raise some money and lift some spirits. And the Dempsey Challenge is in Lewiston every year. It's a huge event. It is in September. It's a bike race, run, walk that has raised millions of dollars. So with all of that in mind, give it a listen. Patrick Dempsey, the actor and philanthropist and first pitch thrower at Fenway Park, and a diehard, legit Red Sox fan who grew up cheering for the Sox as a kid in Maine. Here's Patrick Dempsey on 310 to Left. Throwing out the first pitch at Fenway Park. Does that, you've done everything there is to do, it seems, but you haven't done this. So do you actually get a little nervous about this?
I was really nervous. And then everybody's got advice. Like, are you practicing? Make sure it doesn't bounce. I just got to make sure I warm up. But yeah, it's a tremendous honor. And, as a kid growing up here, this was it. And, you always had the curse of the babe, right? We'd get to the playoffs. And I remember, I'm wearing 27 tonight, awesome. Who was my hero, Colton Fisk. And I remember 76 when he hit the home run. It's like, is it going to go? Is it going to go? And the next day at school, we would play that moment over and over again. And now to be here to throw out the first pitch is very special. And I remember sitting right over here, where it's 14, 15 in that area. First time I came to watch a game in person.
Down from Maine.
Yeah, I came down from Maine. It was a big trip for us.
See, now, I'm from Lewiston. You're from the suburbs of Lewiston.
Right.
But it's when you come down here, I try to tell people from Boston who came here a lot as a kid, I came once a year if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And it was, oh my God, Fenway Park.
Well, the big trip into Boston was a big deal.
Right.
And then Fenway Park and the history, and was 112 years this year?
Very good.
Coming up.
Yeah. So, but when you walk out here as a kid and the green is around you, it's just...
Well, you hear so much about the Green Monster, right? And then you see it in person, and then you see the crowd and the energy, and it was overwhelming. And I just remember smiling the whole time. And I still feel that way coming in today.
So do you have something in mind? So Will Ferrell came in throughout the first pitch years ago. And we had him on the show before the game. And he went out and imitated Louis Tion, like the arms and legs and herky-jerky.
Oh, and the turnaround?
Yeah, the whole turnaround.
I thought about doing that.
That's it. Yeah, he kind of pulled it off a little bit, and then of course you had Rob Gronkowski, right? Just spiked it.
Just spiked it.
The other
That was
day.
like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
last Patriots Day.
Yeah.
Giselle Bundchen came in, and Dennis Eckersley was with me, and he said, "Well, you got to aim up
Yes.
because you're stepping down."
Right.
And she launched it like a 50 feet overhead,
Oh,
and
really?
then blasted him on the Today Show the next day. So I'm giving you no
Well,
advice.
I'm
just
just
to be
hoping
clear.
that doesn't happen. I can get it across the plate and it doesn't bounce.
We always say we only show them when they're horribly bad. So
Good. Well,
nothing
maybe that's
personal.
what
I
I
hope
should
we
do.
don't show it. Okay, I hope we don't show it tonight. You told me this before that you remember watching that Carlton Fisk home run in the '75 World Series.
Oh yeah, I see it as clear as it was like yesterday. It was such a big moment, and that was a great game. Went down to that pitch, and then I just remember him going down first base line. He just said, "Go, go, go," and then it went over, and it was like an amazing moment. And then the next day at school, everybody was reliving that moment.
Because everyone's parents let them stay up late.
Yeah.
It was really late.
It was
I
really
remember
late.
going to school groggy-eyed the next day.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah, so cool.
But we were
stayed
so
up.
energized by that. And then,
And you wear his number 27, which
Yeah.
is really, really cool.
well, I was a catcher. That's what I was the catcher, so that he was my idol.
And speaking of idols, we were at the golf tournament last year, the Drive for Kids,
Right.
up in Falmouth, and suddenly you've got a bat in your hand, and Roger Clemens is throwing to you.
Well, I had played around with Roger Clemens, which was great. I couldn't believe it, and he's so approachable, such a nice guy. And I think we were on maybe the 14th or 15th hole, and then this kid came out and he said, "Hey, Roger, would you mind? Can you play catch?" And then he had a bat too, and I'm like, "Well, can I hit against you?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." And we had a little game right in the middle of the golf course.
Is that like? Do you feel like a fan again? Are you Patrick Dempsey from Maine at that point, the Red Sox fan?
Absolutely. Turned back into a little kid. I mean, the whole round. I mean, he was playing worse than I was, which was good. I was happy about that. And we had a good time. We got a chance to get to know him, to talk to him, and the impact he made in this community is huge. So it was really special. And how genuine he was and how kind he was with the fans was nice to see.
Every year we do the Jimmy Fund Telethon, and every year he donates batting practice. He flies in, and you bring 10 people out, kids, whatever, and he does pitching lessons for them, and then he always doubles it. And just always willing to stop and give back. And you've always done that. Like, you've never forgotten about Maine. That's always been your foundation, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you come from. You learn your values there. I think Maine in general is really about community, about giving back. A lot of philanthropic work that's done there, that's quietly done. And I got some good advice early on, never forget where you come from. And I go back and you remember where you started, where you are today, where you want to go, and then what can you do to improve your community. And that's all the values that started here.
And I feel like you've kept that, I think, better than most people who have achieved success. You've made it part of who you are. Like the Peloton Project. You do movies that sort of reflect those values. You've always tried to bring that with you in your career, haven't you?
Yes, I think it forms you, and I think growing up, certainly in the Lewiston-Auburn area, at that time, a lot of those mills were closing. It's a very tough community, not a lot of hope, not a lot of inspiration. And so when anyone would come into the community, it was a big deal. And I never forgot that. And I look around and then, I was very fortunate where things happened for me, but I could still very easily be there, working. And a lot of the mills are gone, a lot of the industry's gone. And there's a lot of need there, and certainly what happened a year ago, we're 6 months out from the shooting, and we have to remember, we have to remember our community and support our community.
And you did that. You came out and posted some things and said some things. It meant a lot.
Yeah, we played softball. And there's nothing like getting people together to play
Bill
baseball.
Lee was there.
Yeah, he was there, so we had a great time. It was very competitive, a lot of good clubs that came up to support the event. And I had a lot of fond memories playing baseball in Lewiston-Auburn, Buckfield, Lewiston-Auburn, in that area, and then Turner as well. And it's just there's nothing like getting a ball and playing together, and that really was, I think, part of the healing process for everyone.
I remember I spoke at the vigil 2 days after, and I used the line, my son once said, was talking about, he's like, "Man, you've got a work ethic like nobody I know." And I remember just my immediate reaction was, "Well, I'm from Lewiston."
Right.
Like you have to.
You had to
have
work.
to work.
If you wanted anything, you had to have a job. You had to, I got down here maybe a couple times just because the family couldn't afford to do it. We always had food on the table, but you understood the value of the dollar and you had to go to work. I remember picking up drops and doing all that, and a few days of mucking stalls, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that anymore. But yeah, you have to have a good work ethic.
And that's carried you, obviously, and you've brought it back. The work you've done back home, the Dempsey Center, obviously you went through watching your mother battle cancer, and that kind of made you realize there was an opportunity to help other people going through that thing. Take us through that process.
Right, so my mother was diagnosed, I think it was in 97, 98, and she had over 12 reoccurrences. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Fought a really long battle until about 2014, and that was just too much. And you know, when you have that diagnosis in the family, it's devastating. You don't know what to do, and you want to be able to give back. And thank God my sister worked in the hospital, so she could navigate the conversations with the nurses and the doctors and gave us an understanding. But it wasn't until I started working with the Amgen Tour de California that I was exposed to their Breakaway from Cancer initiative, and that's where the Wellness Center was first presented to me, or wraparound care. So what we do at the center, which was inspired by my mom's cancer journey, and there was nothing like this in Lewiston and Auburn at the time, is what we do is we don't treat the disease, we treat the person holistically in wraparound care, meaning counseling, health and wellness, comfort, nutrition, yoga, acupuncture, and Reiki. And we do that, and the services are at no cost to anyone who needs our support, as well as the caregivers and kids.
That's amazing.
And it was inspired by my mom's journey.
Right, and because again, there was nothing like that then.
No, and our big mission is to really spread the word, because it should be, as soon as you're diagnosed, it should be standardized care. Because you can wait 2 or 3 weeks before you get your test results back, before you know exactly what you're going to do. And that's a time when we need to come in and help people sort of go, okay, what can we do to help support you and your family?
We were talking before about the home-based program they do here, and it's the same idea, right? Like there's medicines and there's treatments, and they say, here's your oncologist, and here's where you'll go for radiology.
Right.
But nobody holds your hand.
No, and
there's
also
no humanity.
There's no humanity, and what happens is once you're done your treatment, you're left, and you're done, and you've had great success with, treating disease, but now we need to treat the person, and that's where we come in.
The Dempsey Challenge has fueled this for a long time.
Yeah,
it's a huge event in Lewiston, by the way.
It's a big event, and it's really brought the community together too. And there's a lot of pride there. We couldn't do it without the community. The money that's been raised, I think we're close to $30 million now over the last 16 years. It will be September 21st this year. We've condensed it into one day where we do the run, the walk, and the ride, and that's really to promote people to stay active. Right? If you're active, you feel better emotionally, you feel better mentally, and it gives you that strength to fight the disease.
And the spirit of it.
Tremendous spirit. Right? Because people are there because they want to be. They've been impacted. Their hearts are wide open, and it's a really special day.
And it's grown, right? I mean, it was in Lewiston. Now it's Portland. I know there's a new one.
We have 2 facilities now, right?
Yeah.
So we have the Lewiston, which was the original center, and now we're in South Portland. We're waiting for our new facility, which will be in Rock Row in February of 25, because we're just bursting at the seams in Portland right now. And the services, the word is getting out there, and people come in and they're so relieved that they have this support system.
In full disclosure, I just had my first board meeting
as
a member of the board, so I actually know a little bit of what I'm talking about here.
And we have a great board too. We have some really great people who understand, who have been impacted themselves, either personally or family member, and the compassion is incredible.
But I found it, what I didn't know, being a guy from Maine and knowing what I thought I knew about the center and the support, is that it's now spreading outside New England. Like 32 states, I think.
We're servicing 32 states, yes.
Which is
virtually.
So virtually, right. But that kind of came out of COVID, right?
We did. We were always working on that, and then with COVID, that really accelerated the program. And now we're treating a lot of people virtually. And certainly in rural Maine, it's very hard to get into Lewiston, especially if you're up north. The word's getting out there, so people are calling in. And it's benefiting a lot of people.
It's amazing, isn't it, that we kind of go to technology, we talk about humanity, but you're actually connecting people to have a human conversation through the technology.
Right, because we're listening to them.
Right.
Right, and they can communicate. They can let go of all of the fear and the anxiety with a professional who knows how to take care of them. But now we're starting to see more of people wanting to come back into the center, that wanted to be in person, which is really good, and working together as a group. And the demand is very high, which means we have to work much harder with our fundraising because all of these services are free. So our mission is, and our goals are being reached, which means we have to work even that much harder now to raise the money to make sure that these services are at no cost.
Where does it go from here?
Just spreading the word nationally, right? I mean, there are a lot of people throughout the country didn't realize this was the type of thing that was possible, that the supportive care is there. We're reaching out to other like-minded centers. We just discovered a wonderful called Cancer Care in New York City. They've been around since 1944. It was inspired by a man who lost both his mother and father within 6 months, and we're continuing that. And then basically making people aware. That's our mission nationally. And then connecting with other like-minded centers throughout the country. And we're also servicing 4 countries as well.
Wow. And people can help. Obviously, they can sign up for the challenge.
They can sign up for the challenge. It's going to be September 21st this year. And you can go online to dempseychallenge.org and register. Or if you need any help, go to the dempseycenter.org and see if we can help you with any of the online services that we have.
Okay, I think I've just set a record. It's the longest interview you've gone without anybody asking about being the sexiest man on earth. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very
because
much.
Here you're just a Maine Sports Hall of Famer,
right.
A driver. You know, sexy comes way down on the list of baseball.
It's sort of funny that it's happening at this point in my life. So nice to have the attention at my age.
What was the reaction? Like,
I always thought somebody was joking. I thought they were making fun of me, but it worked out nicely. So I enjoy the attention.
But no lie, I mean, you're a Maine Sports Hall of Famer.
I am, yeah. It's a tremendous honor.
Yeah.
I think because of the challenge and certainly with racing, you know, sports car racing, and I'm getting ready to go. I'll go to Spain tomorrow for a 2-day test in Barcelona, and I'll get back in the car this year. I've got 4 races in a new endurance series with Porsche. We've got a couple good sponsors on board, Tag Heuer and Mobile One will be taking care of us.
As thrilling now as it was when you first got behind the wheel?
Even more so. I appreciate it that much more now. I took a break in 2015. I reached all my goals. And it was a tremendous sacrifice. Like anything you want to do and do it well, you're going to have to sacrifice something. It was a lot of time away from my family, and I was like, I can't justify this anymore. I wanted to get on the podium at Le Mans. I achieved that. And then I could feel there was a dissipation of energy, just, you know, where I was like, the fire's not there anymore. I want to be home, I want to be with my kids, and I want to be with my wife and family. And then I just sort of stepped back from a lot of things, other than, of course, the center. It allowed me more time to spend at the center and to help there. And now I'm getting back into it. My son's like, yeah, Dad, you got to get back in the car. I think he has an agenda as well. Just don't tell his mother.
I was going to ask that because players will say, like, you have young kids and it all takes you away from them.
Yes.
But then there comes a point where they're old enough to appreciate what you're doing, and now you share it with them.
Yes, I did. I had my son just got his license, and I took him to the Experience Center in Carson, which is Porsche does this teen driving school, which is really helpful for car control, situational awareness, understanding what the car is capable of. If there's a great track, because we have so much snow and rain up here, you can lose control of the car really quickly. So it teaches the eye-hand coordination and how to get the car corrected, and he had a great time doing that.
It's funny. My wife was a claims insurance adjuster for a while, so I felt bad for my 2 sons because they were constantly, nope, we're going out. Like after they got their license, but it's really important.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you do the written exam and then you drive a little bit, but I think it's important if you have an opportunity or there's anything in this community where there's a driving program, I highly recommend it.
So you're going back to drive. What's next for Patrick Dempsey?
Really focusing on the center. That's been the big thing. Getting my kids now into college, that's the next step. So we're doing a lot of tours. There's that pressure, and then we'll see how they are in the world.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today.
Awesome. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Well done.
See you on the golf course.
See you on the golf course. I'll
see you in the woods getting the balls. All right, it's over there again.
Yeah. So I want to thank Patrick Dempsey for coming on. This year's Dempsey Challenge is Saturday, September 21st, in person in Lewiston, Maine. You can run, walk, or ride. You can also do it virtually anywhere you want. You can get more information, register for the race, donate, or sponsor someone at dempseycenter.org. Again, thanks, Patrick Dempsey, for coming on. Very cool that, guys of a certain age, like us, that Carlton Fisk home run, that moment, being able to stay up late and watch that and all the buzz at school the next day when everybody, and he wore 27 to throw out the first pitch. I thought that was a pretty cool connection.
Well, it's telling about like what a resonant cultural moment that was, like, in throughout New England, but throughout baseball. I didn't grow up in New England. I was also born in 1975, so I don't have that as a touchstone. But to have grown up with the hey, don't snarl at me. To have grown up with that as kind of like the lead iconic image of the game of the week, right? Like where you would have the elevated, the music building, the music building up, and you'd see in slow motion Fisk raising that. Like I can only imagine what that was like. The fact that for someone like me, even though I didn't grow up here, like the Gammon's Games story from that day remains something that is resonant. Almost 50 years later, right? We're coming up on that. It's a pretty powerful moment in time in the sports world, and part of the reason why and then marked this moment before which free agency was going to begin. So it was also at a really interesting cross-section moment in Major League Baseball and professional sports.
See, and all I kept thinking when he was talking about that was, you're that old and People magazine just named you the sexiest man alive. Like, where did we go wrong? Where did the rest of us fail?
You got an honorable mention, right?
No, I bought the magazine like everybody else just to read about it. Well, and for the record, he's from the suburbs of Lewiston. I'm from Lewiston. All right, I'm the gritty city kid. He was from Turner or Buckfield. Went to the rival high school, by the way. Went to my rival high school. I was Lewiston High School. He was St. Dom's. He was a little behind me, so we weren't there at the same time.
Well, but now you've entered the main tree of trust with the nest. So nice to see you guys coming together. Although I did not, yes. We'll note that pointedly I was not allowed in the interview because
it was only two microphone set up. There's nothing we could do. I'm
not on the I'm not on the people honorable mention. Sexiest people alive. So there you go, Tom. No. Feel better about yourself.
Main Hall of Famers only. Okay, that's what happened there. All right, a fun edition. Very cool to get them. We'll do that from time to time because I think it's so cool when you hear. I just think it's really cool. Whether it's, Matt Damon talking about how he still looks at the Nesson app to get caught up on what's happening. I just think it's cool when you hear the Boston, superstars and celebrities from Boston who use the teams, and quite often the Red Sox, because it's such a long season, as a touchstone to their lives, their home. I just always think that's a fascinating connection.
Yeah, like it's identity, right? Like you grow up, and that becomes a part of who you are because it's so much a part of some of your energies. That's part of why people love sports, and it's and why they are important. But it's part of the meaning of what we do.
It's part of the meaning of life. Just go big. Let's just we'll take it all the way.
That seems like a small exaggeration.
Yeah, slightly. All right, we will wrap it up there. We thank Patrick Dempsey for coming on, and we will catch you next time. Thank you for checking us out this time on 310 to Left.